Welcome to Family Business World. I'm your host, Dr. Dale Caldwell. I'm here with Wallace Santos. How are you?
Good. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Good, good, good. And we just met you today. So I'm really excited about learning about Maingear. You're CEO of Maingear. So first, what does the company do?
Yeah, so basically we're the Ferrari of PCs. We manufacture gaming PCs and workstations.
Oh, wow.
If you're looking for something that's bleeding edge, that's customized, for a PC that's customized for your needs specifically, down to the color of the cabling on the inside of the system, come to us.
Interesting. So as always, I like to begin with the origin stories. And so you're CEO of this great company. Where were you born? Where did you grow up? And how did you get into this business?
Yeah, I was born in Minas Gerais, Brazil. So I'm a Brazilian.
Oh, nice.
My parents immigrated to the U.S. when I was 2 years old.
Okay.
And it's a typical immigrant story. You know, my mother and my father came here just to give us a better life.
Wow.
And
you settled where? Where did they settle?
In New Jersey. So like we basically, our first home was in Newark, New Jersey.
Oh, Newark. Okay.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
Okay.
Then we moved to Kearney and then Union, and it goes from there.
Interesting. So now, as you grew up, were you always into technology and fidgeting with things? And
yeah, I was just curious. I was a curious kid.
Right.
I always loved robots and little cars. Like every boy likes, but just always leaned towards technology and motorsports. So with Maingear, if you go to maingear.com, you realize that it's basically a culmination of everything that I really love, which is automotive and gaming and computers and tech.
Interesting. Okay, so then now, where'd you go to high school?
I graduated from Kearney High School.
Okay.
And after high school, I went to an institute called Setone Institute of Technology. I went for a networking systems professional.
Okay.
And that's kind of how the story takes off. I went to school for networking and couldn't find a job at the age of 18. Nobody really wanted to trust this 18-year-old with with their network or their business, essentially.
Right.
So I had the love for gaming and decided to start Maingear.
Okay, so you started Maingear. You were how old?
18 years old.
Oh my goodness! Wow. So and it's it's been around for quite some time. You survived. That's tough. I mean, most businesses fail, 3 years or so is the average tenure of a business. What were some of the hurdles when you were starting?
Yeah, look, first of all, I had the advantage of my age, At the time, I still had mom and dad to back me up.
Right. So you could live at home. You didn't have to pay rent.
Exactly. I didn't have the pressure of having to pay for rent. But believe it or not, we did have the pressure of paying rent for the business, right? So to me, within that first year, it was a lot of pivoting, a lot of adjustments that we had to make to survive. But the story begins really from when I went to school for networking as a professional. I couldn't find a job. Right. Started a consulting business. It wasn't really called Maingear. It was called Easy Tech Corporation. Okay. And the idea was to knock on people's doors and offer my services. Especially for small businesses. Right. But quickly realized that we're probably a little bit ahead of our time. People, the internet and everything was just still kind of new for small businesses with mom and pop shops. So I just found myself gaming a lot, when I would go back home, or even back at my home office. Right. And I bought a computer from a gaming company at the time. The computer gaming was something that was, it was taken off. It wasn't like the typical consoles with Xboxes and the PlayStations. Right. So I bought this gaming PC from a really well-known company, and it arrived damaged. Right. So. That's what caused me to start Maingear.
Interesting, right?
Yeah,
Interesting.
Yeah, the computer arrived damaged. I called the company and I say, look, the computer arrived damaged. Can you just send me a new one? And they couldn't get me a computer up and running in a short time frame. So after going back and forth, I ended up fixing it myself. Basically, I disassembled this PC that I just bought, and I reassembled it my way, and I changed the part that was broken. To be fair, it wasn't their fault. It was it was the carrier's fault. Right. And I realized, what? I can do this myself. I really love this, actually. I love building PCs. I love gaming. Let me try doing this. So this was in December of the Christmas time frame. By January, I renamed my business. Had a logo, had a website, and I bought a ticket to CES. And I went to go shake some hands.
Interesting.
I didn't know anyone. It was just very scary for an 18-year-old to be in Las Vegas by himself.
And that's the computer. That was at the CES, the conference. What is it called?
Yeah, CES is it's the world's largest consumer electronics show.
So it's a consumer electronics show. Yeah. So because some of the audience may not know about that, but it's the tech center of the universe.
Oh yeah, it's 80,000 plus people that go into
right.
a single convention center and display their text. It's broad, so it covers tech in general, but it's where everyone goes to shake hands.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. You are so I'm involved with a lot of community initiatives, and one of the things this concept I created, they have maker spaces where they get entrepreneurs and so on. But I actually got the web address to create a remaker space. Because one of the things that I think is important, especially for young kids from economically challenged communities, to do what you did, is to take things apart and put them back together. Because I have so many old printers and computers I would love to have the kids take them apart, and you're just reinforcing. I know there's a professor at Princeton, at my alma mater, who does that with a lot of the engineering students. He gives them stuff, has them take it apart, and that's a great way to learn how to do that. So you're reinforcing this, and that may be something you may even want to kind of sponsor as a business, this remaker space. Because it could be a good way to kind of identify some up-and-coming kids with talent.
I would love to, and you know what? And you just hit the nail on the head. I mean, sometimes kids just need a chance.
They just need a chance. Yeah. And they have a skill, but where else are they going to demonstrate the skill?
And they find passion in something so simple, like taking apart something and putting it back together. That's kind of what happened with me.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You're like a role model of that. Okay, so, and you're modest, because I know you're really successful. And so as you're doing this, okay, so you decide to do this. What about inventory? What about supplies? About all that stuff? How did you get over that hurdle?
So that's something that as a 18-year-old entrepreneur, because that's what I really was at the time, right? You don't really worry about those things. You just worry about doing the things that you really like. Right. So I focused on that, to be quite frank with you. I focused on just building the best PC that one can build, or that I can build at the time. I focused on innovation. I was one of the first companies to offer a liquid-cooled computer, which today it's very mainstream. Most computers come liquid-cooled by default, but we were the first company to commercialize that. We were one of the first companies to offer automotive paint jobs on our PC, so you can actually paint it like a car. And you can buy it the color of choice. So but the foundation of the business was never there. I just kept on focusing on the technology side, but that's where services like Andrew, Fraser, which was on your show, where that's where they come in and they can really help you structure your business for success, right? So it's important that, first of all, you do what you're loving, identify what you love, right? Make sure that the world understands, so you have to market your company, right? In my case, I knocked on doors. I went to New York City. We're so close, right? So I would go to these magazines, Computer Shopper magazine, PC World, PC Mag. They're all in New York. So I would literally go into these buildings, knock on their doors, introduce myself, and say, hey, sir, I build the best computers. I know you're an editor. Would you like to review it?
Wow.
Some guys turned me down. But once I got my first opportunity, which was like a really small website, that opened some eyes. That allowed, PC World, PC Magazine, CNET to really look at my company and say, oh, wow, these guys are the real deal. They're shipping a good product. And that allowed me to start marketing my company. That got some traction.
Well, let me say that, because that's really, that really is important. One of my consulting clients is Under Armour. And so Kevin Plank, the founder of it, was notorious for sending to the founder of Nike, Phil Knight, and others, some of these jerseys, and just said, you don't know who I am yet, but you'll know who I am. And so when they sent it to, in fact, Kevin Johnson was in one of my most recent shows, said Under Armour used to send them to a lot of the football players, and they would, they have, dirty, and they just put them on, and so they get some free press. You're doing the same thing so there's a model, it doesn't matter what your business is, there's a model to have the chutzpah to really get out there and knock on some doors, and you never know who's going to support your business. And I love that. I love that story.
Yeah, it's guerrilla marketing, right? So the idea was I don't have a marketing budget.
Right.
How do I let the world know what I'm doing? Right.
And so now let's go for the audience, because I'm not a technology and not a great gamer. So when you're building these computers, what was unique about what you were building or how you were doing it? What kind of features did you put in there that you thought were really, really important?
Yeah, like I said, I wanted to really combine. I'm a very competitive person.
Yeah.
And I used to do a lot of, at the time, racing and everything else. But I wanted to combine performance.
Right.
I wanted to combine aesthetics.
So speed. So you really looked at speed.
Speed is money, right?
Yeah,
Like time is money.
Yeah.
So I really wanted to be the fastest.
Right.
So when these reviewers would review my product,
right.
we usually used to beat the bigger guys in performance.
Oh, interesting.
And in computers, the thermals is your enemy, right? Or heat is your enemy.
Right.
So the cooler you keep it, the faster you can make it run. So
interesting. Okay.
at the time, the modding scene where people would mod their computers in their mom's basements and whatnot, we used to modify computers with like fish tank parts and fish tank pumps and liquid cool these parts and try to keep the heat away from the box to make it run faster. And I said, you know what? I'm just gonna try selling this, right?
Yeah.
So I said, let me design a computer where it looks good, so it was painted and beautiful.
Right.
It performed really fast.
Right.
And then you can buy it.
Interesting.
All done already. Yeah.
Yeah, that's wild. And so, all right, so you started to build these prototypes. You got that one little internet, little company on the internet that started. So what happened from there?
Yeah, it was a website called systemcooling.com, and they reviewed my computer. Like, they gave me a really good score.
Wow.
So I went to another a magazine called CPU Magazine. I think they're still around.
Yeah, I think I've heard of it.
Yeah, so CPU Magazine, they gave me a chance, right? So they said, look, we're going to do a roundup. We're going to compare basically 4 companies.
Right.
And you'll be in the roundup. But now, there's a risk of you coming out last.
Right.
So that might not be a good look for you, but we'll give you this chance. We have one spot open.
Nice.
So at the time, we ended up beating everybody out of the water.
Really?
Oh yeah, it was great. Because our computer was liquid cooled. So everybody else's was air cooled, which makes a louder computer and it performs.
So did you come up with? I mean, could you have patented this process, or did someone else do that? Or,
I didn't invent it. Just to be clear, I commercialized it. Right. So we do own a couple different patents.
Right.
But it was something that was basically the hot routers of PCs, PC modding. Right. It's one of the things that I really like doing. So I just brought it to market.
Did you ever see the show Silicon Valley on?
Oh, we're on it. Yeah. So.
Are you on it? Really?
Yeah, Silicon Valley. If you look at the gaming chairs and the PCs on that show, that's my computers.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, that is very cool.
Yeah.
That's so again a celebrity here. So we have a celebrity, and so you built these kind of state of the art systems, and so you are okay. So you've got a great product. People like your product. So we're going to take a break in a second, but I want to hear after the break, okay, so what do you do? And that sometimes people have a great product, people want it, but they don't know what to do. So I want to hear after the break, what did you do and how did you, what steps did you take on your own without an Andrew Frazier to help you at the time to become successful? So we're going to take a short commercial break, and we will come back to Family Business World.
Kinda new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello? That's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
Boardwalks built for fun. Legendary rock and roll clubs.
This is how we do it.
Casinos by the ocean.
Hippity hop.
Now that's New Jersey. 130 miles of beautiful beaches. Solid rock. And everything in between.
Look in the window.
Now that's New Jersey. Plan your New Jersey trip at visitnj.org. waves of fun, nights of excitement, and a trail of memories. Now that's New Jersey.
Welcome back to Family Business World. I'm your host, Dr. Dale Caldwell, with Wallace Santos of Maingear. So we were talking about, do you have the product? It's fast. It beat the competition. What happened next? Did people start approaching you about the system after you won that competition?
Yeah, so it was a review roundup, and organically and naturally, people are going to want to buy the best. They gravitate towards that.
Right.
So we would get like a spike in sales. You know, our website all of a sudden will sell a few systems,
Right.
and then it would drop off again.
Okay.
And then I would have to keep on seeking these opportunities. I couldn't just live by one review.
Right. Now, pricing-wise, how did you price it?
We were never the cheapest.
Right.
You know, the computer business is not the greatest margin business in the world.
Right.
But we wanted to make sure that we were offering a premium product, and we offered value through the performance and through the aesthetics and through the actual product.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
But you know, and obviously being a new up-and-coming business, you don't really have that purchasing, that buying power
Right.
that most of the established businesses have. So we had to just be innovative, as innovative as we can be, and which turned to work out.
Right. Yeah. And so, all right. So you started doing that, and then what helped you catch fire? What really took you to the next level of sales?
Yeah. So I created this obsession of just trying to win more awards.
Right. Okay.
And that was the way that I figured that we would, you know, maintain our sales, right? Because we would hit a review, the review would be great, sales would peak, then it would drop off. And I said, you know what, I need another review.
Right.
So we kept on going after more reviews, so we became an award-winning company. So
Right.
we won multiple Editor's Choice Awards that first year. Then I ended up, I thought that I had to take like an advertising deal with a certain magazine, which we did. Then we ended up opening up a storefront.
Okay.
We ended up getting on people's radars. Companies like Intel, AMD, and
Oh, really?
NVIDIA,
Okay.
they called us and they said, look,
Okay.
you guys are the Ferrari of PCs. We want you to carry our product. So they started to give us support as well.
Oh, really?
I mean,
Okay.
there's so many things that you learn over time, and I had no idea. I had no network.
Right.
It was a learning process for me. But if you take a step back in business and you realize it's about the people that you know as well, right?
Yeah,
It's the passion.
Absolutely.
It's your network, and it's obviously that grind. You need to grind and make sure that you're consistently doing the things that work. Double down on what works.
So now, how many employees did you have when you were doing that?
It was just two of us.
Really?
Yeah, exactly.
And so now, how did you scale up? If people wanted, I want 100 of your machines, how did you deliver?
Yeah, so you know, you can't be afraid to say no.
Right.
Honestly, right? You need to make sure that you stick to what works. And at the time, we did get requests that would say, "Hey, you know, we want to buy." Like stores called us, like retail chains called us, and I said, "Look, we're not ready for that yet.
Okay.
But if you want to buy one or two systems, you can go to our website."
Right.
And in some ways, if you're able to toughen it out through that, it creates more demand for your product.
Right.
Makes people want it more.
Absolutely, yeah. It's the the one thing I remember from Wharton and the MBA is this thing called a Giffen good, and it's one of those rare products where the higher the price, the more people want it.
Oh yeah.
So it sounds like you have kind of a Giffen good, you know, like a Rolls Royce. Nobody wants a $1,000 Rolls Royce; they want a $400,000 Rolls Royce, right?
That's right.
So you had the Ferrari of that. So it was a Giffen good. So people would pay because it was in, would pay whatever to say. Was there prestige attached to having a Maingear PC? Like, I'm doing gaming on Maingear. What's yours?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. And today, look, we have celebrities that use a bunch of celebrities that use our product, from Snoop Dogg to football players. We have celebrities like Zed. You know, these are artists that are in the mainstream right now.
Wow.
We even have one that invested into our business, Deadmau5. So
Really?
yeah,
Wow.
we work with everyone, and there is a prestige, but we just do what we really love. It's making sure that we ship you the best computer that we can make.
Now, and how many employees do you have now?
So we're around 40 employees today.
Oh, wow. Okay. So you really have grown and you've scaled up. And internationally, are you selling it internationally now?
Just U.S. and Canada for now, and we will be expanding hopefully soon to Europe.
So one of the questions I always ask is, what keeps you up at night? What's kind of your biggest challenge now as an entrepreneur and a family business owner?
Well, today,
Yeah.
literally today, it's a supply, right? We're going through.
That's right. Yeah.
We're going through it's still the pandemic is still happening,
Right,
and the supply is tough because there's higher demand,
Right.
So it's one thing or the other, and in this case, we had unprecedented demand for our product, computer gaming or PCs in general. That people need them. People working from home.
That's the irony. The pandemic got people at home, so they probably played more video games than they ever had before.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, the demand is crazy, but then we have the problem of supply. I mean, the supply chain is broken across the board, and it's been tough to navigate. That's what's been keeping me up lately.
Well, one of the, I think 60 Minutes did a story on the computer chips that that there's a shortage. There's an international shortage of them, so it's impacting car sales. It's impacting everything.
Yeah, there's something called a substrate, and that comes from the same place. There's
Right.
like three basically companies in the world, essentially, don't quote me on this, but that are making these substrates.
Right.
And companies, silicon manufacturers like AMD, Intel, and everybody else that makes the smaller chips as well, they rely on substrates.
Right.
So there was a shortage of substrates, which is basically it's causing the domino effect across the board. And then there's freight issues as well, right? Because there's demands for everything else, and there's not enough freight, and it's just.
So, but why now? Again, as the entrepreneur that I am, so I hear these substrates. Okay, there are 3 companies making it. Is it too hard for other companies to get into that business, or why doesn't someone else make it?
I'm not very versed in the inner workings of how a substrate works, but it's apparently it's very hard.
Really to make. Okay.
But I think the world is learning, and I think we were very comfortable where we were before with the demand, and we kind of understood, right? Like for the next 5 years, we'll know how many PCs are Intel and AMD, and these companies knew how many pieces of silicon they're going to sell, right? They were able to forecast that pretty far out. But then COVID comes around, demand shoots through the roof, substrates are nowhere to be found, and that causes decisions. So I think they're going to diversify, and I think over time they're going to learn from this, and this is not going to happen again.
Well, one of the lessons, and so I'm obviously at Fairleigh Dickinson University at the Rothman Institute, where I teach and run the institute, and so we're really advocating for small businesses for this very reason. I mean, it's just not good for the world, let alone America, to have these few big companies controlling anything. Because eventually if we keep going, we're going to have one bank, and we're going to have one insurance company, and that's not good for consumers. First of all, there are no jobs. And so we need to really and that's why I do this show. The Do Family Business World and Entrepreneur State of Mind is to really celebrate the entrepreneurs, to really encourage other people to do that. Because, as one of my guests, former professional athletes say, you've got to perform every day. And so when you have more competition, you got to perform better. And when you're performing better, the consumer wins.
Oh yeah, everybody wins.
Everybody
because you become
wins.
better as well as your trade.
Exactly. But when you're one and big, and so that's really, so there's so many other ramifications of this idea of not supporting entrepreneurship. And so I really love your story. So now what's next? What's next? You're successfully built a successful business, 40 people. What are you looking to do next?
Yeah, so we're going to continue to become more of a gaming lifestyle brand.
Okay.
As the Twitch is blowing up, right? That's where people are streaming their games, and it's the new thing. It's what kids, they strive to be like a Twitch player, right? They want to be like their favorite athlete or their favorite esports athlete, right? So we think that we're going to continue to expand our influencer program. We have a program called Be Next. Okay. Be Next is something where we want to influence you to become great, right? So like if you want to become a Twitch player, or if you want to become an influencer, we actually have a program for that where we'll help you get your career going. Right?
Oh, really?
So,
as a professional esports person, or
not just a professional, it's, just as an amateur, right?
Okay.
If you're serious and you want to create and you already have a small audience and you want that push that you probably need. You might need some hardware. You might be a kid where you just don't have disposable income, right? So we'll come in and we'll sponsor you with that, and we'll give you the tools you need, including the platform, so you can show the world your skills.
So as I'm learning more about esports, I know I used to be on the board of the United States Tennis Association. I know at the National Tennis Center they had an esports event where the winner got $3 million to win. So how does that should help your business as a Ferrari of gaming? Is that how do you interact with esports?
Yeah, so look, the esports athletes need, their equipment.
Best,
they need the best, right? And that's where we come in. So, it's all, in gaming, it's about latency, right?
Right.
So, like, if you're able to see, that frame before your competitor, you have a slight advantage.
Yeah.
So, that's where the performance story, I just happen to be doing it for a long time, really fits in with Maingear. So, we think the world has just awoken to esports, to Twitch streaming, to gaming. Like, the overall TAM expanded with COVID right now. I had friends from high school that never called me before that would call me for a gaming PC. And these guys haven't called me in 10 years, right? And it's like, look, Wallace, you sell gaming PCs. Can I buy one? I'm like, hey, there's a great demand. Get online, buddy. But, I think that, we're just in a good place right now. And I think the world really understands what we're doing.
Yeah. And now, do you sponsor any particular athletes or events or competitions?
Yeah, we work with different influencers. If you go to maingear.com/benext, you can see who we work with on there. And we'll highlight, our different esports athletes or influencers from time to time. Some of these guys are just gamers with a good audience. Some of these guys are pro athletes that are actually competing for these big pots, right? But yeah, you can make a really good living with 10,000 people following you. You can make a really good living playing games.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
So you don't have to be competing with the high stakes, the pro, but you can have that, really, just have a following.
You just have to be a good entertainer. You have to put out a good story, put out a good vibe. You'll get good followers, and trust me, you'll do well. Do what you love.
I know there are, as a father of a 16-year-old, I know there are a lot of kids out there that would love to have you talk to their parents and say, hey, you can see, Mom, I can make a living off of doing this. I don't have to be in esports. This is fascinating. This really is. You've got a great business.
Thank you.
You're still a young guy, and you have a lot of future ahead. And so, congratulations. And I hope the audience is really listening to the steps that you have gone through to become successful. And, they can be applied to any business. You don't have to have a gaming company to do that. So thank you, sir. Thanks for your time.
My pleasure. Thank you for your time.
And thank you all for watching Family Business World, and we will see you next week. I'm your host, Dale Caldwell, and have a great day. Good luck with business.